Welcome to Breakup Cheater, the place where lies get exposed, betrayal meets justice, and cheaters learn that every secret has a price. Here we bring you real stories of heartbreak, deceit, and ultimate revenge. From cheating spouses to broken trust, we uncover it all. Because in the end, the truth always comes out. A marriage built on love. A betrayal fueled by greed. He trusted her with his life, but she gave him poison instead. Left for dead, silenced in a coma for 10 long years. But when he opened his eyes again, he remembered everything. This is the story of Lucas Harrington, the husband who survived the unthinkable and returned to take back everything that was stolen from him. The Poison Vows. Part 1. A Marriage of Lies. Lucas Harrington had always believed in loyalty. He was a devoted husband, a respected architect in his community, and a man whose life revolved around his family. His wife, Evelyn, was radiant and charming, the kind of woman who could light up a room with a single smile. To their neighbors, they were the perfect couple. Successful, loving, untouchable. But perfection often hides fractures. Evelyn had grown restless over the years. She craved excitement, wealth, and admiration. While Lucas poured his energy into building their future, Evelyn's gaze wandered toward another man, Dr. Adrian Mercer, the family's trusted physician. What began as casual flirtation turned into a dangerous affair. Adrian was everything Lucas was not: reckless, daring, and willing to risk it all for forbidden passion. When Lucas began noticing inconsistencies, late-night outings, hushed phone calls, the faint scent of cologne that wasn't his, he tried to ignore them. He loved Evelyn too much. He convinced himself he was imagining things. But Evelyn and Adrian weren't simply betraying him with lies. They were plotting something far darker. Part 2. A Taste of Death. Adrian, with his medical expertise, devised a plan. If Lucas were out of the picture, Evelyn would inherit everything. His wealth, his properties, his life insurance. Adrian promised they could finally live freely, away from the shadow of Lucas's unwavering devotion. The weapon of choice, poison. Slow, untraceable, and cruel. Adrian provided Evelyn with a series of vitamin supplements for Lucas, urging her to administer them daily. "It will make him stronger," Adrian assured, all while masking a sinister grin. Lucas soon began to feel the effects. Fatigue, blurred vision, chest pains. Evelyn played the role of a concerned wife, calling Adrian for medical advice, pretending to be worried while secretly counting down the days until she would be free. One night, the dosage was stronger. Lucas collapsed at the dinner table, gasping for air. Evelyn dialed emergency services with a trembling hand, faking panic, while Adrian waited at the hospital to ensure the poison left no trace. Lucas slipped into a coma. The doctors could not explain his sudden condition. To the world, he was another tragic case. To Evelyn, it was freedom. Part 3. 10 Years of Silence. For a decade, Lucas remained trapped in the prison of his own mind. His body unresponsive, his voice silenced. Evelyn visited occasionally in the early years, more for appearances than affection. Soon she stopped altogether. She moved on with Adrian, living in the very house Lucas had built, spending his fortune without a trace of guilt. But Lucas's spirit never gave up. Somewhere in the shadows of his coma, he clung to life, replaying memories, piecing together the truth. He could hear fragments of conversations, whispers of betrayal as Evelyn and Adrian occasionally let their guard down in his hospital room, confident he would never awaken. Then, against all odds, 10 years later, Lucas's eyes opened. Part 4. The Awakening. The world he awoke to was unrecognizable. He had missed an entire decade. His hair was streaked with gray, his muscles weak, but his mind was sharper than ever. Memories of Evelyn's betrayal and Adrian's smug voice replayed like a haunting melody. Doctors called it a miracle. Lucas called it a second chance. He did not reveal to anyone what he remembered. He stayed silent, pretending to be fragile and confused, all while quietly rebuilding his strength. Beneath the calm exterior, He burned with vengeance. Part 5. The Reckoning. Lucas began his plan carefully. He researched Evelyn's life from the hospital bed, discovering she and Adrian had married 2 years after his coma began. They lived lavishly, flaunting their happiness, believing him long forgotten. Once discharged, Lucas reappeared like a ghost from the grave. His sudden return sent shockwaves through the community. Evelyn tried to play the role of a relieved widow-turned-wife, but her eyes betrayed terror. Adrian, once confident, grew uneasy under Lucas's quiet gaze. Lucas didn't confront them immediately. Instead, he gathered evidence: old medical records, financial documents, and the help of Detective Helena Ward, a relentless investigator who had once suspected foul play but lacked proof. With Lucas alive and willing to testify, the pieces fell into place. One evening, Lucas invited Evelyn and Adrian to dinner at the very house they had stolen from him. Over a carefully prepared meal, he confronted them. His voice was steady, almost calm, as he revealed what he knew. Evelyn's face drained of color, Adrian stammered excuses, but Lucas was relentless. The police arrived minutes later, armed with the evidence Lucas had provided. Evelyn and Adrian were arrested, their carefully crafted facade crumbling into dust. Part 6. Justice and Renewal. Trial was swift. With Lucas's testimony and the forensic evidence uncovered, the truth came to light. Evelyn and Adrian had conspired to murder him for greed and desire. They were both sentenced to life in prison. Lucas, though scarred by betrayal and the decade lost, found peace in justice. He rebuilt his life slowly, learning to walk again, rediscovering the world that had moved on without him. Though the pain of Evelyn's treachery lingered, it no longer defined him. He had survived poison, betrayal, and time itself. And in the end, he reclaimed not just his life, but his dignity. Betrayal can break a man, but survival can remake him. Lucas Harrington lost 10 years of his life. Yet in the end he gained justice. His wife and her lover thought they had buried him forever. Instead they buried themselves. Remember, trust is precious, but once it's poisoned, there's no cure. Thank you for watching.